Opposition to the governor's extension of the state's emergency and disaster declarations after the Republican-led legislature refused to extend it last week.
In a radio interview today, Michigan Senate Majority Leader Mike Shirkey backed the idea of a petition to limit the governor's emergency powers, saying the legislature will likely sue her next week. Tonight, though, our Marissa Oberle explains why a West Michigan lawyer and others believe the governor's actions are unlawful.
That attorney's name is Catherine Henry. She says while the governor is granted special powers during a state of emergency, those powers are limited.
People absolutely should not be complying with that.
Meet Catherine Henry. She's a licensed attorney in Hudsonville with 19 years of legal experience, most recently working at her own firm, Catherine Henry PC, and with the Great Lakes Justice Center. And she says in her legal opinion, Governor Whitmer is acting unlawfully.
We have two sets of laws that relate to the emergency management powers.
When the governor extended the states of emergency and disaster in Michigan after the House rejected that request Thursday, she cited two laws as her basis: the Emergency Powers of Governor of 1945 and Emergency Management Act of 1976. Henry explains the 1976 law requires the legislature to approve any extensions after 28 days, but the 1945 one is broader and doesn't need that legislative buy-in, which is what Governor Whitmer said gave her that authority. But Henry says those laws can't be read separately.
The way our laws work, though, is all the laws on the same point have to be read together, have to be read in harmony, even if they were enacted at totally different times.
Henry adds when Governor Whitmer did so, she signed 3 executive orders that terminated the original declaration, continued it, then declared new states of emergency and disaster. But Henry says since it's the same conditions that led to the initial emergency, it's not enforceable because it's beyond that allowable time limit.
It might be a totally separate state of disaster if the emergency or the disaster has totally ended, the harm is gone, and then it might be a separate situation that has flared up, but we haven't seen a second wave of COVID-19.
Henry points out with the rejection, legislators did not say COVID-19 is not something to worry about, but instead said the emergency is more manageable than before. She says the goal of a state of emergency is to not eradicate the situation, but bring it to a state that can be handled together.
There's nothing now that would be needed that she can do, and we can go ahead and codify that into law through the proper legislative process. We don't have to have one person in the governor's seat deciding all those things.
And I did reach out to Governor Whitmer's office for a comment on this opposition. They instead pointed me to her press conference from this past Friday, in which she said that Republicans are acting as though the state is in the midst of a political problem, when in fact it is in the middle of a public health crisis. You can find a link to that press conference on our website at fox17online.com. But for now, reporting in Grand Rapids, Marissa Oberle, Fox 17 News.